Good afternoon. Welcome to EduSet Network. Friend, as you know, this week we have organized series of lecture on public administration. We will start with the latest in the discussion on public administration, the decentralization and development. Past experience suggests us that when we decentralize power at lower level, the development occurs in more progressive and manifests more prominently. So we will start with this topic. We will try to understand its meaning, its forms, its types, and how decentralization and development is practiced in India, in contemporary India. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in the studio Dr. Sangeeta Dhal. She is teaching public administration at Kalindi College, both undergraduate and postgraduate students. And she has his credit for contributing art skill in different edited books, and also presented many articles at national, international seminar and guiding PhD students. So I hope her knowledge and experience will help us to understand this topic in a new way, and will give insight of how the decentralization is practiced in India. So on behalf, I welcome her for EduSet lecture. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you all. My topic for today is decentralization and development in India. Now, as we know, decentralization and development is a current, these are the themes which are of contemporary significance, and the new world order that has been established in the era of globalization, the state is reinventing itself. Reinventing in the sense that the state is now following the neoliberal agenda, in which there are free markets, there is free flow of goods and services. In all this, the role of the state has been to strengthen the people at the grassroots levels through active participation of the civil society. In this context, we see there are different methods of governing the state have come up, and how the hierarchical state institutions which were there earlier, how they have changed in place to give place to a new type of a system. Now, the traditional state, as we all know, was divided into three parts: legislature, executive and judiciary. And the traditional state also represented a hierarchical structure of dominance, control, authority, discipline, Weberian paradigm. Whereas the modern state is a network, is networking among various organizations, the state actors as well as the non-state actors. There is the legislative, judiciary, executive, as well as the state has to negotiate between the private sector, the NGOs, the civil society, the media and the market. So how the traditional society has been replaced by all these non-state actors, that is a topic for our significant topic. Now, public administration in the changing world, it has undergone a sea change in the present world because of the globalization factors. Because of globalization, the traditional state structure has reinvented itself, has tried to restructure itself, and has given importance to the neoliberal values. Now, the other significant theme that has come about is with regard to network administration. As I mentioned earlier, that the state is now negotiating between the various non-state actors in order to ensure good governance to the people. Now the next aspect is of governance, which various studies have revealed that weak governance has been the result of major developmental problems which are persisting over the periods of time. Now, the next significant theme in the contemporary time is that of democratization and participation. Now, these all are very, very important issues if we take into consideration the new public management, which focuses on public participation, which focuses on the popular control over the government, over the state through decentralization, transparency, accountability, and openness. Now, one of the major aspects of the public administration has been the issue of decentralization and development, which is the topic of my today's discussion, where we focus on how the power is transferred from the higher level to the lower level, and how because of this, the various local people are given, the people at the grassroots are given a chance to participate in decision making process. Now, reinventing the process of governance. Now, democracy and development, they have been integral to the modernizing project of the Indian state, and it is this process which has led to various transformation, which has deepened the notion of democracy, which has widened the notion of democracy, and has led to the democratization of the polity. Now, this development has to be in tandem, has to be in consonance, harmony with the nature, and of course with the people. So for this, decentralization has adopted a model of power sharing which has been able to ensure good governance at the local level. Now, for decentralization to take place, there are certain normative issues, there are certain normative notions which are important. For instance, there has to be a creation of a federal structure in order to ensure the grassroots level democracy. There has to be a transfer of power to the local levels, and also with regard to another notion is that of administrative decentralization, which talks of deconcentration of power. Then of course there is the how NGOs should be empowered, because as we know, NGOs play a very active role in spreading awareness among the rural population. And of course there is the right to information and public hearings, which all go on to say that how the state encourages the people to participate in all the phases of decision making. It is decision formulation, implementation, as well as the social audit, which we are very much aware of, the very successful program in Rajasthan, the Jan Sunwai programs. Now, Jerry Stoker, a very important thinker on decentralization, he argues for democratic decentralization and citizen-centric government. Now, this would erode the bureaucratic monopoly and give power to the people at the grassroots level. Now, the various types of decentralization, as we know, is, as I have already discussed, this is one with relation to deconcentration, which is a form of ensuring administrative efficiency, transfer of power from a higher level to the lower level. Then there is the devolution. Devolution is the form of complete decentralization, which is the authentic manner in which the power is transferred through legal sanctity, and the best examples are of 73rd and 74th Amendment Act, which are the concrete steps taken by Government of India to ensure grassroots democracy, to ensure women's empowerment and social justice at the local level. Then there is delegation. Delegation is transfer of power, transfer of specific power for a given period of time. However, all these types of decentralization have to be accompanied by proper coordination and also proper governmental mechanisms, and there should be proper institutional reforms to make these decentralization program a success. Now, revisiting decentralization. Now, the primary aim of decentralization is to make available the services to the local people, so that the development activities are in response to the local aspirations and the local demands and the needs. And of course, the decentralization program has to be designed in such a way that they reflect the local aspirations and needs of the people. And every part of the, from the lower level, like from the district, it has to percolate to the block, and from the block to the village level. Now, the new perspective of development strategy, which presently the focus is on the social content. Social content with reference to improving the quality of life, and how to redefine the notion of decentralized development so as to benefit the underprivileged and the poor. Now, no model of decentralization would be a success if there is no proper transfer of funds, functions and functionaries, and this is a very important aspect for decentralization to be performed best at the local level. Now, Panchayat model of participatory development has also been emphasized by Gandhiji, which focuses on inclusive development, participation by all sections of the society. Now, why do we talk of decentralization? Why is government promoting the idea of decentralization? Now, the first thing is that it has also been stressed by the World Bank report 1997, where it focuses on the people-centered development. That is, people are they have the solutions to their problems. They know what are their problems, and they have the capacity to solve their problems through self-help groups. And important thinkers, scholars like Amartya Sen, John Doraz, even Joseph Stiglitz, they have they have advocated a decentralized structure so that people so as to benefit the grassroots people, and also for the maximum resource utilization. Now, with a view of promoting administrative autonomy, decentralization was highly recommended by the policy planners, because earlier the programs had failed because of the centralized notion. They were centralized programs with less involvement of people, and so the present focus of the planners has been on democratic decentralization strategy, which provides administrative autonomy to the people at the local level. Now, there were thinkers like Henry Maddock, Roddenley, though they promoted the idea of decentralization because they felt that it is a strategy to to improve the conditions of the rural poor, because from passive recipients, the people now became active participants in the development process, and this happened due to the decentralized strategy which government adopted. Now, the decentralized strategy, it invoked a theme of inclusive framework of development. Now, decentralization and development, they aimed at ensuring a sustainable development, a development that would ensure common good. And also in this context, Gandhian method was very important, because it focused on developmental activities which are in response to the local wishes and initiatives, and also the idea of how decentralization development would be a success by ensuring a public-private partnership model, by focusing on civil society activism, by the role of NGOs. So all these go on to say that how decentralization has been a success, has become relevant. And apart from that, we are also focusing on the idea of economic development which talks of quality of life, happiness index, and ensuring a peaceful society wherein the quality of life is guaranteed to people. Now, active citizen participation, as I mentioned to you earlier, that none of the programs of the Government of India would be a success if people are not actively participating in it. Now, the flagship programs of Government of India, like for instance National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, or even the midday meal scheme, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, all these programs, all these developmental programs, livelihood programs which the Government of India has launched, cannot be a success without the active participation of the citizens of India. And therefore, these programs go on to, they have brought the government very closer to the people, and they have also empowered them through providing them livelihood situation. Then there are various states which have successfully launched the decentralization experiments. The states like Karnataka, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Kerala, all these experiments have heralded a kind of a revolution in the rural governance in India. West Bengal has been successful. The experiment of Panchayati Raj has been successful due to the regular elections, even due to the regular public hearings and a disciplined ruling party. Kerala has been also success because of how it has been able to devolve the funds and functionaries and the functions right to from the panchayat level to the ward level. And Rajasthan also has been a success story. So there have been many success stories, and the example of Karnataka is also cannot be overlooked, because Karnataka has been a success due to various factors. Crook and Manor have in their studies have revealed popular participation. But it is not a success in terms of popular participation, but the effective democratic accountability, the financial resource, the administrative base, and it all goes on to prove that success has been guaranteed. And there is like even Karnataka is very successful in implementing electronic governance projects. There is a project Bhumi which deals with rural land records, and of which 70 lakh villages have benefited from 3,000 villages. So therefore, there have been many such examples, even Madhya Pradesh also. Now, the focus in today's time, in contemporary time, with in decentralization is with regard to capacity building. How decentralized can be strengthened. The idea of decentralization can be strengthened through capacity building, through citizens' civic engagement, and how to build up on the local, the capacities of the local community, reconnecting people to the government, and how people, how the government has to negotiate between the multiple stakeholders, civil society, NGOs, to strengthen the idea of social democracy, and this has been highlighted by Anthony Giddens in his various studies. Now, the various aspects of decentralization which I have mentioned to you. Now, in all this, we have to focus on the role of the state. What is the role of the state in this? And India, as we know, is quite unique in the sense it has a multiple layer of federal and democratic structure, right from the center to the state to the district, and from the district there is another 3-tier level, as we all are aware of, the panchayat, the district, block, and the panchayat level. Now, how all these levels have been able to accommodate the various aspirations and demands of the local population, and thereby also how local people are themselves involved in the decision making process at its various phases. Now, in all this, the state, as in the beginning of my discussion I had mentioned to you that in the era of the globalization, the function of the state has to be redefined, reinventing the state, as they say. Now, this redefinition of the state is, we are focusing on a limited role of the state, but nevertheless, state is still active, and state is needed for large infrastructure, for investing in large infrastructure, for mobilizing the people in developmental activities, for providing good governance, and also for ensuring quality service. Now, in this scheme of things, the citizen becomes an active citizen. So, in order to ensure how the citizens have become active, there are the various tools of empowerment in the hands of citizens today, like for instance the public interest litigation, right to information, electronic governance, panchayati raj, and public hearings. Now, all this proves to the all this goes on to prove the fact that citizens have become very, very informed citizens, that they have now the awareness, and also they are guided by NGOs and other civil society to raise their demands and make their voice heard. They are no longer the voiceless majority. Now, the role of the state also is how to negotiate relations among these communities, among the various communities that we have mentioned, and how a network community has to be established through coordination, through proper flow of information, and how the people also have to organize themselves along with the state so that their voices are heard. They all are the partners in progress, and the partners, because all the programs that we have mentioned, the developmental programs which have a strategy, which have a decentralized strategy, they are all based on a partnership model. Now, the issue of I would like to raise the issue of electronic governance in this context, and how decentralization has has been promoted, has been encouraged through the idea of electronic governance, where maximum citizens have availed the online administration of Government of India, and how now nearly 60 million Indians are availing the online administration, and how it is a convenient mode of administration. It is also very inexpensive and mode of administration, where government is able to reconnect with the people and is able to bring administration closer to the people. Then in this scenario, there are various web of relationship that is formed. Communication and information flows between government to government. Then there are various models. There is citizens to business, business to citizens, citizens to government, and also government between citizens and citizens. So there are various models and of interaction between in this e-governance model, which promotes the idea of decentralization, which tries to make the idea of decentralization a big success. Now, in the era of globalization, as we know, all the major nation states are focusing on a type of type of decentralization and development which have revived the local structure. So the idea here is to in the era of globalization is to think globally but act locally. So this idea has to be permeated to the local level, and how the policies have to be formulated keeping in mind the local aspirations, the local needs. So the need of the hour is to raise very important issues which are very important to people, the idea of good governance, the idea of how the development should yield fruits to the people. And at this juncture, I would like to establish that these various ideas have helped to establish an egalitarian society, which reveals less idea of systemic conflict and includes a more inclusive development and inclusive the idea of social harmony. There is a need for multi-level institutional changes, which was and also the idea of substantive democracy should be strengthened by the decentralized path of development, which of course rests on the idea of Gandhiji's social equity and inclusive growth. With all these ideas, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Okay, how the idea of decentralization being implemented in India different from the other developing countries?
No, the idea of decentralization that is there in India is where we try to focus on the various issues, in the sense that we have tried, as I mentioned to you, the state is negotiating between various non-state actors, and there are people who have been involved at the various stages of decision making process, the process of formulation, implementation, as well as the social audit. The best example is that of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, where it is one of the largest public employment guarantee acts, where people are involved at all level. There is no contractor, and people are there is also the monitoring and information system. So government has tried to change its strategy, and is now earlier this was not there, but now government has tried to change its strategy by promoting an inclusive growth, by promoting social equity. So it is taking that into consideration.
That is true, but the point is that empowering, you can say, what was the true motive of the decentralization was empowering people or in decision making. That is still not happening. The decisions are being imposed from that higher level to the lower level, at grassroots level. The things what is being decided at the center being just asked to the panchayat level that you follow it. So how can you say that this?
No, I would just want to point out, like earlier the Gram Sabhas had a very minimum role. Earlier, you see the 73rd and 74th amendment, they have been concrete steps in the decentralization process, which has guaranteed political empowerment to the people. So therefore, I would say that things have really changed, and it is still a work in progress, because now we are focusing on the capacity building of panchayats. We are focusing on civic engagement. In fact, I would like to point out that what we are now witnessing is a kind of a new localism which is there. The idea, people were not, the awareness of people was much low, but now the awareness of people is much higher, and we are also, the concept of electronic governance has also launched a kind of social revolution in the villages of Andhra Pradesh, and constitutional provision हमारा Directive Principles of State Policy में है, आर्टिकल 40 में है, तो उसमें जैसे हमने विलेज को, हर विलेज यूनिट को एक रिपब्लिक की तरह माना हुआ है, एक सेल्फ सफिशिएंट विलेज की तरह उसको हम प्रमोट करना चाहते हैं. तो मैं डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी में हमारा एक है कि हमारा स्टेट का फ़र्ज़ बनता है, कर्तव्य बनता है कि वो ग्राम सभा को प्रमोट करे और उसको और सक्षम बनाए.
Directive principles suggest a state to be a welfare state. Yes. From where we gather this. Okay,
it also is also talking of panchayats.
Talking of panchayats. But my question, another question related to this is: has the centralization failed? That's why we are adopting decentralization, or this is a natural phenomena which goes from one stage to another?
You see, when in this earlier we had a centralized strategy for development, which was associated with the planning process. But now with the first generation reforms coming in 1991, which focused on liberalization, privatization and globalization. Now in the era of globalization, the state had to restructure its functioning mechanism. No longer the state could afford to be authoritative. It had to change its manner of functioning. So therefore, as I mentioned to you, even the World Bank report also says the same thing, that the state has to take into consideration people's aspirations, people's demands, and it has to be more proactive, more citizen centric. These are all the themes of new public management.
How do you see the decentralization and development in the context of recent statement given by Honorable President Pranab Mukherjee, the downward theory, the trickle-down theory has failed, and we need to think another strategy. So another strategy, this strategy fit. We need to look beyond this, like inclusive growth, another concept that is coming forward from the different quarters.
Yes, trickle-down theory was the strategy which the policy planners had adopted earlier. But now, as I had mentioned in the course of my discussion, that the people are now the partners. It's a now collaborative approach where the state and the non-state actors, along with the citizens and civil society, they all play a very important role in bringing about the development process, in making the development process a success. So therefore, it is not the trickle-down theory, but a theory which is of inclusive development, which is of inclusive growth, which focuses on social equity, social justice, empowerment at the grassroots level, which will make the program a success. The benefits of the program will automatically go the people, and the best example is the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, midday meal scheme, even the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, which provides livelihood, which focuses on community participation, and community participation is creating community assets rather than looking forward to the state as providing all the services. The citizens themselves are working towards it.
This is one aspect that when we look at the Manrega, we find that this is giving a job to the marginalized section of the people. But when we look at the agriculture part of it, we find that it has created a kind of alter situation in village economy, because for agriculture, farmers are not getting the adequate level and what we say the required for the production of the village economy.
But
so how this will we can forecast in coming years, this situation at the level of village will have impact on Manrega?
There have been various studies on Manrega, but since I'm an optimistic at heart, I would always view it in this. The impact of Manrega has been quite significant in the sense that there have been leaking taps, no doubt about it. But the fact is, it has significantly, enhanced women's participation at the grassroots level. I mean, it's for everyone to see. And not only that, even migration has been arrested. Migration from Andhra Pradesh and various other states have been arrested, have been contained, and also it has created community assets, and whatever the negative pictures which has come out, the studies are working on it. And
this is true. When we look at the part, we find that this has been successful. But when we look at the holistic, take holistic view of village economy, we find that is having somewhat adverse impact on it. So how can we arrest that kind of downtrend in the village productions?
For that, actually, even the rural administration also has to play a very important role. Okay. The rural administration, in the sense that if they work, if they work more properly, then the corruptions would be contained. But in this Manrega also, even the rural administration to some extent has done its job much better than other programs in comparison to other development programs, because they have all given job cards to everyone, and the most important thing is the corruption has been contained because there is no contractor. There is a ban on contractor where people themselves are deciding for their benefit. So what I feel is, these things could be discussed.
And you talked about the capacity building at the grassroots level. So is this true because the need of the different part of the country, we have different panchayat level, we see the different. So how a person go from the city and make them yeah, give training to them for the as per the needs of the region or because of the
That
panchayat.
is when we are talking of decentralized development, the idea of decentralized development is people-centric development. And why people-centric development? Because people are aware of what benefits them. People are aware of their resource base. People are aware of the significant resources in the capacity building, which is it is the idea. The various panchayats, even after the launch of 73rd, 74th Amendment Act, various panchayats were not focusing on these capacity building mechanisms because the main idea was they were not engaging the citizen participants. Now with the role of NGOs, with the role of civil society, they are preparing proper training modules. Okay. They are preparing proper awareness programs for the citizens, for the people who are there at the grassroots level, and they are focusing on this capacity building, so as to the idea of social capital can emerge from this process.
Okay, so as far as decentralization is concerned, what are the stages to realize the fuller way of the decentralization, like in legislation, in administration, in financial power and other powers? So how we can transfer all these powers to panchayat level? What are the stages which have success story in different countries?
Yes, as I mentioned to you, Kerala is one of the success story in decentralization experiments, because they have been able to transfer the funds, functions and functionaries right from the district level to the block level to the panchayat level up to the ward level. Okay. Now therefore all this has been possible because they have a wide administrative resource base. They have a proper financial base. So how everything has to be coordinated with the other things in order to make it a success. There have been success stories also in Karnataka, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, even Rajasthan. Now nowadays we, as I had mentioned to you, there's this something called social audit. Mm-hmm. Now social audit or Jan Sunwai is where the people, the administrators are responsible to the accountable to the people, where they are made to in a public meeting, they are made to give accounts of the development programs.
We'll discuss. So we have another question from Mr. Abdul Rasid from Kashmir. Welcome you. Please ask your question.
Hello sir, I am Abdul from Kashmir sir.
Yeah, please ask your question.
Sir, I am a student of MS of sociology. Sir, I am finding problem in sir the hypothesis, sir. Will you define, sir, what hypothesis mean?
What?
What does hypothesis mean?
Okay.
Yeah, actually, when you are doing your PhD.
There might be that related. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. You see, hypothesis is actually, it is a statement of what you want to prove in your PhD research work, and your entire research work would be based on your hypothesis, which you want to prove or you want to disprove. Your research would show, your field study would show. So hypothesis is like a key statement of your research work.
Key assumption what we take. Suppose someone want to do a study on Manrega, so he will have.
Yes, I mean you can prove it or you can disprove it, but this is what your hypothesis is about.
Okay, is there some kind of methods to form the hypothesis? Just experiences that suggest that this could be hypothesis?
No, I mean the various methods which research methodology would come later when you do your field work. But this is with regard to, you after the various, you have to focus on what the area of work that you want to do.
First set the objective, then
then you
formulate the hypothesis.
Work towards it. You have to, go through various readings and also be particular about what you want to, work on. Okay. So that is important.
Okay, so we were talking about the decentralization framework in which all kinds of power be transferred to the grassroots level, and the success story which what we saw in Kerala and Karnataka and other states. Yes. So how do you say this could be a success story in the entire country?
Again, I would like to say that India is a work in progress as far as these decentralization experiments are concerned. Now we have a very active rural development minister also, and apart from that, as we all are aware of, it is very important that the success story, like for instance the elected women representative, elected male representatives in Karnataka, in Kerala, in Madhya Pradesh, elsewhere, they come and share their experiences with the other panchayat leaders, elected leaders in other parts of the country. And Delhi, Institute of Social Science, it holds regular programs where the panchayat leaders, they meet, they share their experiences, and a lot of things can come about, and development can also take place. The success stories can be emulated in the other parts of the country also.
Okay,
sharing of experiences is important.
Sharing of experiences, and as far as the empowerment is concerned, but their participation in decision making, but still we find that we are lacking the participation of different people, different section of the people at decision making, because few people decide and then they take forward the decisions and implement it. So just a participation is a reflection of that whether this program is good enough to continue with, or we need some other kind of arrangement or the measures we need to
No, it is just not. It is just not participation. It is also the level of awareness. It is also looking into where the experiments have succeeded, and if they have succeeded, what was the strategy that was adopted. And the more important issue here is, apart from the participation, the idea of transparency, openness, and of course, the people who are supporting them, who are spreading awareness, like for instance the civil society, the NGOs, because it is, after all, it is a collaborative venture. It is, they are all partners in this process of development. So it is just not participation, it is beyond, it goes beyond this also.
Okay.
It is awareness, it is
Okay, you mentioned the decentralization also include the transfer of legislature power. So as so far we have in Constitution 3 lists: union list, state list, and one is the concurrent list. So having seen the success story of Panchayat and Gram Sabha, we need to evolve another kind of mechanism on which Gram Sabha can also draft a legislation.
Yes.
And is that much easy, or we need a new kind of
revisiting because the state governments are still working on it. There were 84 items on the state list which has to be transferred to the Gram Sabha, because after all, Gram Sabha has to be made more proactive, has to be made more citizen friendly, and for that it has to have these administrative powers. The transfers, items have to be transferred to the Gram Sabha, but only after in the 89 lists, that items that are there in the list, only 20 or 24 have been transferred to various state governments. So it is again a work that is, they're still working on it. Even like the various some Gram Sabhas have become quite active, and they are making important decisions, but still it is yet to be done.
Okay, these are from the state list or from the other
state lists. These are the items that has to go to the Gram Sabha from the state list, because panchayats is a matter of the state list.
Okay, so that's why we can say that some of the states have not been we not find success story, either because the states feel themselves
because power, nobody wants to let go power. So it is and empowerment at the political empowerment at the local level, because that is what we see, that is what is stopping 50% reservation in the parliament for women today. And but the political empowerment that has taken place at through 73rd, 74th amendment has been a huge success because of this, but still more work has to be done on this.
Okay, so what about the resource constraint, funds constraint?
As I mentioned to you, on paper many attractive schemes are launched, many functions have been given to the Gram Sabha on the paper, on theory, but the practical reality tells us a different story, because the functions without accompany the functions without the funds, they are they mean nothing. So therefore most of the Gram Sabha feel the financial crunch when they go ahead to perform these functions. So most of the Gram Sabhas have the problem of technical experts, the functionaries which are not there with them. So here I would like to bring in the principle of subsidiarity, where funds, functions and functionaries, they all have to be transferred to that level where it is best performed, and here it is the question of Gram Sabha.
So what are the modalities being developed for to overcome these shortcomings? Is there any kind of modality?
Yeah, the main how to overcome these challenges. The main idea here is Gram Sabha has to work in coordination with the state governments, and state governments, the Panchayat Raj departments, they have to hold regular meetings with the Sarpanch leaders. There should be proper training modules for the elected women representatives, because after all they feel inhibited because of lack of experience, because of their shortcomings. They feel inhibited many a time. So these are very important steps which the state government should take to overcome these kind of difficulties.
Okay. So having these kind of difficulties, how do you rate the present success, present status of the decentralization process in India?
No, definitely decentralization process has come a long way, because as I mentioned that with citizen activism and online administration that is taking place, it has taken the idea of decentralization further to the homes of the to the citizens, because now government has come very closer to the people. And not only that, even government is negotiating with multiple stakeholders who have a stake in the process of development, and that is how decentralization has percolated to the various sections of the society. And in all this, I would say this is a very positive development, and this is a development which makes the state citizen friendly and a very proactive state.
Okay. This is an era of communication. So do you think that what is happening at the Gram Sabha level, at Panchayat level, that is being communicated to the higher we can say the Sabha like Sansad ho, or Lok Sabha or the Raj Sabha? Yeah, what happened there is lying there only. Yeah, what is the channel of communication between the lowers at lower level and to the higher level?
Here I would I would focus on the role of the rural administrators, especially the block development officer, the village level worker, even the sarpanch, and of course the district collector, who have a very significant role to play in making any public policy of the government a success. Like I can give you a small example, if time permits. Yeah. I can give you a small example of Pulse Polio program in a village of UP. Now in this particular village, the particular community section, they were not giving the polio drops to their little boys. But it was when the district collector came to know about it through the BDO, he ensured that all the kids who come to take polio, they are given attractive gifts. So that made this polio program a big success in the little village. So it is the personal commitment, dedication that the rural administrators should take in order to bring, in order to make the program a success. So here I would like to, how they interact with the citizens. That is also very important, the rural population, because after all, when we are talking of grassroots democratic process, we are talking of all of them working together to make the policy a success.
So that was a failure of that's why a failure of awareness. They were not aware, and that's why
they were aware. They were aware of the pulse polio, but they did not want to, because they did not want their child, because of some wrong misconceptions that was being spread as rumors. So they were aware of the pulse polio, but they did not want their child to have it, because they were the victims of some rumors. So the collector took into consideration, by providing the gifts to, like the boy's sister, or the small boy's brother. So it was how mobilization and motivation made things work.
Okay, decentralization and development are interlinked to each other. So now in development, we find that the talk of the inclusive growth. So what does exactly inclusive growth connotes or we mean by the inclusive growth?
Now, the idea, you see, we almost keep this in mind, that India is a diverse country with which is having many sections of the society. There are sections which have typical different ethnic identities. There are physically challenged sections of the society. There are minority. So we have diverse so all these diverse groups have different aspirations, they have different demands, and they have different requirements. Now, inclusive growth refers to taking everyone along with them in the process of development, so that the development, it is not a development where the majority yields the benefit, but rather a development which is integrated, which is inclusive, and which benefits all the sections of the society. So that would be inclusive growth, which takes the feedback of all the communities and ethnic identities which are present in the society.
Okay, what these two terms, growth and development, differs?
Yeah. Now, growth is a narrow term, in the sense that it focuses on the rate of growth. Whereas economic development is a much broader concept, and in the present development strategy, we have the concept of the development has a new connotation, the connotation of a social content. Now, social content here, I mean, is we are focusing on the quality of life, we are focusing on the happiness index, and we are also focusing on Amrita Sen's idea of capabilities approach, that every human being should have a reason to value the life he or she wants to. So this is focusing on the capability. So the idea of development is much broader than the idea of growth. Development is more in qualitative, growth is more in quantitative terms that it is being assessed.
Okay, so we need both quality and quantity.
Yes, and that will ensure a substantive democracy which will cater to everybody's aspirations.
Okay, so substantive democracy, welfare democracy, welfare. So these are the terms have been devised from time to time, like you talk about these things, globalization and localization. So earlier it was being said that the country, the global village, now the things are being searched into the village itself. So this kind of shift we find. So how will you react on the aspect of social or psychological aspect of the people who generally don't move from one to another, but the policy makers shift easily, keeping in view their benefits? So how do you react the people's dilemma in adopting these two?
No, I would, it is not really a major dilemma, in the sense that people at the grassroots levels, they are much more aware. They are much more aware than people residing in the urban areas, because they, as I mentioned to you, they are more connected with the harsh realities of life, and they are more with the TV and the radio medium, in the community radio which is there at the village. I mean, people have raised their sense of awareness. Only in a few pockets, but still, I mean, the NGOs working along with these, the activists, the civil society activists who are working along with the villagers, as we are aware of the various projects, the complaints or the protests that are being managed, it is being done by whom? I mean, there are various NGOs, even there are various activists who are involved in this. So people are no longer gullible in that sense.
So in the new strategy, the media, civil society, NGOs, they are also part of the strategy, part of the schemes in decentralization or in the development.
Non-state actors.
Yeah, non-state actors. So what do you comment on this? They are playing their role effectively to bring quality life in people, or making the things better?
Yeah, in the sense they all of them, these non-state actors, they are playing their role, because in the sense that they are they have transformed the passive citizens into active citizens.
बॉटनी से भी आप योगदान कर सकते हैं ग्राम सभा में, क्योंकि विलेज इकोनॉमी में अगर उस की जानकारी हो,
plants के
प्लांट्स के
various
बारे
technology
में,
हो,
तो नेचुरली
जैसे-
दैट विल कंट्रीब्यूट इन अ बेटर वे। सो आगे
वही
करियर
हम कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के बारे में बात कर रहे थे, जैसे केरला में कोकोनट ट्रीज का है, तो उसी से कोई स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री डेवलप हो, कोई कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री डेवलप हो,
तो निश्चित तौर पे आगे चल के इसमें भी आपका करियर आपको अच्छा हो सकता है,
कर सकते हैं।
ठीक है। तो हम लोग बात कर रहे थे फाइनेंशियल एस्पेक्ट और जो ओवरऑल डेवलपमेंट प्रोसेस है उसमें नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स का क्या रोल है।
वही हमने बताया था कि जो नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स हैं, दे द मीडिया, सिविल सोसाइटी, इवन द मार्केट, NGOs, see they have a very important and responsible role to play, because as I told you that they have transformed the passive citizens into informed citizens, and these citizens have become quite conscious of their rights. Now the simple example that I comes to my mind is with regard to right to information. Now it has been a very revolutionary social legislation, and people were not aware of this, and now thanks to the various activists, people are using this right more frequently than ever before. So this has brought about transparency, accountability, and government has become more open in sharing information with regard to the social sector, education, with people, citizens. वो तो एक जैसे हम इसके बारे में बात करते हैं, जो urbanization specially with regard to development of urban areas, how development उसके context में
making public communities available
नहीं, वो अभी हमारा ये आ रहा है ना, जुनरूम जो है, जवाहरलाल नेहरू अर्बन रिन्यूअल मिशन, उसके तहत जो अर्बन एरियाज में डेवलपमेंट की बात होती है, द सिविल
different parameters that
different, yes,
set
the
for
different
the
areas, education sector है, infrastructure है, hospitals है, even transport. आजकल तो urbanization में we are focusing more on transport, garbage disposal, हमारा ये जो MSW जो है, management in solid wastes, तो ये सारे बहुत सारे issues हैं urban administration पे, बहुत बड़ा field है ये, तो इसमें इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में बात होती है, और स्पेशली ये वाला जो प्रोग्राम है आजकल अर्बन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स फॉलो कर रहे हैं जुनरूम पे।
ओके, सो दीज आर द थिंग्स फॉर द अर्बनाइजेशन। सो फाइनली द लास्ट क्वेश्चन आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क यू व्हेन वी कंक्लूड आवर सेशन टुडे, decentralization and developments have given a new shift to the administration, public administration, and this is going to prove a major milestones.
Yes, because one of the main concept that is associated with this contemporary theme is the idea of good governance, and how states have been reinvented. The functioning of the state has been restructured, reinvented, institutional reforms have been introduced, capacity building has been focused in order to bring about good governance, because the idea is that the states will become smart states, simple, moral, accountable, responsible and transparent state.
So well friends, with these words we conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture. On your behalf, I also thank Dr. Sangeeta Dhal for giving such an insightful lecture on decentralization and development. Thank you very much.